Living Environment Unit 6 Review, Reproduction. The main objectives of this unit are how organisms reproduce by themselves through asexual reproduction, the human reproductive system, specifically structures and functions, as well as the three main hormones that regulate reproductive cycles in males and females, and lastly, cell division that allows for variation and a normal chromosome number in humans, specifically meiosis and mitosis, and talking about chromosome number. So let's start with asexual reproduction. Things that we should remember about this type of reproduction is that there's one parent reproducing to make identical offspring. The methods of asexual reproduction include binary fission, regeneration, vegetative propagation, budding, and sporulation. And you can see a few of those examples in the picture that is on your sheet. Next, organisms that do this are generally simple, small organisms like bacteria, fungus, etc. The advantages are that it only requires one parent, so that means you don't have to look for a mate. It's pretty fast and simple. Disadvantages are that the genetic information is always identical. So if there's a disease or some sort of a bad gene, it's going to stay in that organism's offspring forever and ever, unless there's a mutation that occurs. Lastly, mitosis is the cell division that works in a similar manner. Mitosis is when one cell makes two identical copies. Next, sexual reproduction. So in this type of reproduction, you've got two parents and they're reproducing to make variations or differences in offspring. So there's never going to be an offspring that's identical to either one of the parents. Meiosis, making gametes or sex cells, and fertilization, when the egg and sperm are joined together, are both required to do sexual reproduction. If meiosis and fertilization don't happen, you cannot have sexual reproduction. Lastly, organisms that do this generally are more complex, so humans, animals, and things of that nature. Human reproduction. So the main ideas here, sperm are the male gametes, and those are made in the testes. Eggs are the female gametes, and they're made in the ovaries. Egg and sperm join together in the fallopian tube of the female, and then they travel to the uterus where a fetus develops. We'll talk more about that in the next unit, in Unit 7, but that's just kind of a little heads up before we get there. Number 4, reproductive hormones help to give humans sex characteristics, so things like facial hair, voice changes, and reproductive parts, and they allow them to reproduce. So for females, estrogen and progesterone are the main hormones, and those are made in the ovaries. They help to release eggs, regulate the menstrual cycle, and make changes in the uterus. The males have testosterone, which is made in the testes and helps release sperm for reproduction. Cell division is the last main idea here. And for cell division, we should know about diploid and haploid. So in diploid cells, it means it contains both sets of chromosomes. This is true of body cells or fertilized egg cells. And haploid cells contain only one set of chromosomes. So sex cells are the only type of cells that are going to be haploid. Mitosis creates identical copies of the parent cell, resulting in two diploid cells. And mitosis occurs in asexual reproduction as well as during growth and repair for human body cells, like muscle cells, brain cells, blood cells, etc. So any kind of body cell that's not a sex cell counts for mitosis. Meiosis creates different variations of the parent cell, resulting in 4 haploid cells. So notice that there are 4 cells being made as opposed to 2 daughter cells in mitosis. Meiosis occurs in sexual reproduction in order to make gametes or sex cells for fertilization to occur later on. Lastly, don't forget to write your 2 questions to check for understanding of this video as well as their answers.